The battlefield was silent now. Smoke still rose in the distance, and broken machines of war lay scattered across the torn ground. The human soldier walked slowly through the ruins, his boots pressing against the ashes of a fight that had ended only hours ago. His name was not important here. What mattered was the strange feeling that kept crawling at the back of his mind. Something was not right. The air smelled of burnt metal and blood. The night sky above was filled with heavy clouds, covering the moon. It should have been peaceful after the chaos of war, but peace was the last thing he felt. His instincts, trained by years of survival, told him that he was not alone. The soldier gripped his weapon tightly. He moved carefully, scanning the shadows, listening to every sound. A distant breeze whispered through the broken buildings, making twisted pieces of steel creak. Then he heard it. First it was faint, a sound so strange that he thought it was his imagination. A soft, broken cry, almost like a child weeping. But there was something else in it too. Something deep, rough, and not human. The sound came again, echoing across the ruins. A mix between a whimper and a growl. His body froze for a moment. Soldiers on the front lines were used to danger, but this sound was not like anything he had faced before. His heart beat faster. He knew he had two choices: ignore it and keep moving, or follow the sound and discover what was hiding in the darkness. Curiosity won. Slowly, he walked toward the noise. His steps were careful, silent, as if every stone and piece of rubble might reveal his presence. The sound grew louder as he moved closer, guiding him through the wreckage of a destroyed building. The walls were broken, the roof had collapsed, and the place smelled of smoke and dust. Somewhere inside, the crying continued. He stepped into the ruin, his weapon ready. The beam of his flashlight cut through the shadows, sweeping across the debris. Then he saw it. At first, his brain refused to understand what his eyes were seeing. In the corner, curled up against a broken wall, was a creature he had only heard of in old stories and soldiers' rumors. A dragon. But it was not a giant beast with wings that could cover the sky. No, this was small, hardly bigger than a large dog. Its scales were dull, not shining, and its body looked weak. The tiny creature trembled as it tried to hide from him. Its golden eyes glowed faintly in the light, filled with fear and hunger. The soldier's grip on his weapon tightened. His training told him to be careful. Dragons were dangerous, even young ones. But another part of his mind whispered something different. This creature did not look like a predator. It looked helpless. He took a slow breath and lowered his weapon just a little. His eyes studied the dragon closely. Its wings were too small to fly. Its ribs showed through its thin body, and its tail dragged weakly on the ground. The cries he had heard now made sense. It was the sound of hunger, pain, and fear. The dragon gave a weak growl when he took a step closer, baring tiny sharp teeth. But the sound lacked strength. It was more of a warning than a threat, the kind of sound made by an animal that knew it could not fight but still refused to surrender. The soldier stopped where he was. He did not want to scare it further. His mind raced. What is a baby dragon doing here? Where are its parents? If the parents were nearby, this could be a deadly trap. No human survived when adult dragons were involved. He waited for a minute, his ears alert for any wings beating in the sky, any heavy breathing in the dark. But there was nothing, only the weak cries of the small dragon in front of him. He slowly crouched down, lowering himself to the dragon's level. His flashlight rested on the ground now, its light soft against the ruined walls. He reached into his pocket and took out a ration pack. It was almost empty, just some dry bread, a few crumbs of jerky, and a small bar of chocolate. His stomach told him to keep it for himself. But then he looked at the dragon again. Its eyes were locked on him. No, not on him, on the food in his hand. Hunger burned in those golden eyes like fire. The soldier sighed. This was madness. Feeding a dragon? What was he thinking? And yet, he couldn't turn away. He tore the wrapper of the chocolate and broke off a piece. Holding it carefully, he extended his hand just a little toward the creature. For a long moment, the dragon did not move. Its small chest rose and fell quickly as it stared at the food. Then, with a sudden burst of weak energy, it stretched its neck forward and snatched the chocolate from his hand. The soldier almost pulled back, but the dragon did not attack him. Instead, it chewed, its tiny teeth crunching the sweet piece. Its eyes widened, glowing with sudden life. For the first time, it stopped crying. Instead, it made a strange sound, a soft trill, almost like a cat purring but sharper. Alien. The soldier blinked. He could not believe what he was seeing. The little creature seemed almost happy. It licked its lips, then looked at him again. The hunger had not gone. If anything, it seemed stronger now. The dragon nudged the ground with its claws, then took a shaky step closer, staring at the ration pack. The soldier gave a nervous laugh under his breath. "You want more, don't you?" he whispered, though he knew the dragon could not understand his words. And yet, in that moment, it almost felt like the creature did. He broke off another small piece of chocolate and held it out again. This time, the dragon did not hesitate. It leaped forward, grabbed the food, and ate quickly. Its eyes sparkled brighter, its trembling slowed. The soldier could feel the weight of the situation pressing on him. He had just done something foolish, something dangerous. A human feeding a dragon. This was not how things were supposed to go. But as he looked into the glowing eyes of the small, starving creature, he knew one thing. This was only the beginning. The night was cold, but the little dragon's eyes burned like gold under the soldier's flashlight. It had already eaten 2 small pieces of chocolate, and now it stood closer than before, staring at him with a strange mix of hunger and trust. The soldier kept still, his weapon resting on the ground beside him. He had faced many enemies in battle, but this was something different. He was not sure if he should feel fear or pity. The creature tilted its head, watching his every move. Its thin wings twitched weakly, like they wanted to spread but didn't have the strength. The soldier noticed small scars across its body. This dragon hatchling had suffered. Maybe from hunger, maybe from war, maybe from something worse. He thought about his own orders. Soldiers were trained to kill dragons, not feed them. Dragons were enemies. They burned villages, destroyed machines, and turned battlefields into ashes. Every soldier was told the same thing. If you see one, destroy it before it destroys you. But this one was different. This one was just a baby. The soldier reached into his ration pack again. His fingers touched the last of the chocolate. He hesitated. This was his only comfort in a ruined world. A small piece of sweetness to push away the taste of war. If he gave it away, he would have nothing left. He looked at the dragon again. Its golden eyes had softened now. The growl was gone. Instead, it sat down, tilting its head like a curious child. The soldier broke another piece and placed it gently on the ground, sliding it toward the creature. The dragon sniffed the air, stepped closer, and snapped it up quickly. This time, it did not retreat after eating. It stayed. Slowly, very slowly, the soldier stretched out his hand. His heart pounded in his chest. Would the dragon attack? Would it bite him? The small creature sniffed his fingers. Its breath was warm, carrying the sweet scent of chocolate mixed with smoke. Then, to the soldier's surprise, the dragon pushed its head against his palm. The touch was light, unsure, but real. The soldier froze, his hand resting on the smooth but rough-scaled skin. For a moment, it felt like he was not on a battlefield at all. For a moment, it felt peaceful. The dragon gave a low sound, almost like a rumble, and then curled up near his boots. Its wings folded against its body, and its eyes slowly blinked as if it was about to sleep. The soldier shook his head in disbelief. "What am I doing?" he thought. "Feeding a dragon, touching it, letting it rest near me. This was madness. If his commanders found out, they would call him a traitor. If the dragon's parents came, he would be killed in an instant. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't push away the feeling in his chest. The small creature was alone, just like him. Hours passed quietly. The battlefield around him was silent, but his mind was not. He thought of the stories told around the campfires. Stories of humans and dragons fighting for centuries. Stories of soldiers being burned alive, villages turned to ash, and skies filled with wings. And yet, none of those stories ever mentioned this. A starving baby dragon that just wanted food, that leaned against him like a lost child. When dawn began to break, the soldier tried to stand up. The dragon stirred, its eyes opening quickly. For a moment it looked afraid, as if he was going to leave it behind. He paused and knelt back down. "Easy, little one," he whispered, his voice soft. He didn't know why he spoke. He knew the dragon could not understand him. But somehow, speaking made the moment feel less unreal. The dragon tilted its head again, as if listening. The soldier pulled his hand back and looked around the ruined battlefield. If anyone saw him, if anyone reported him, he would be finished. Dragons were enemies. This was forbidden. But when he looked back at the dragon's golden eyes, he realized something. It wasn't going to let him go. The little hatchling stood and walked closer. It nudged his leg with its snout, then let out a soft sound, almost like a plea. The soldier sighed deeply. His rations were gone. He had nothing left to give. But the way the dragon looked at him, the way it pressed against his boot, told him clearly. It wanted more. Not just food. Something else. It wanted him. He thought of the war. He thought of the endless battles and the orders that shouted in his head. Dragons are enemies. Dragons are killers. Dragons must be destroyed. But here was a dragon, small, weak, and clinging to him like a newborn animal. He felt his heart twist. He had been trained to hate. But how do you hate something that looks at you like this? Suddenly, a sound in the distance snapped him back to reality. Boots. Human boots. The soldier's blood turned cold. If another patrol found him here with a dragon at his side, they would not hesitate. They would kill the hatchling instantly, and maybe punish him for protecting it. The dragon seemed to sense it too. Its ears twitched, and it pressed closer to him, its body trembling again. The soldier had a choice. He could leave it behind, walk away, and pretend this never happened. That was the safe choice. That was the right choice. But as he looked down at the tiny creature, pressing its head against his leg, he realized something terrifying. He couldn't leave it. The first light of dawn barely touched the battlefield when the soldier finally stood up. The small dragon followed, its tiny legs moving fast to keep up. It had eaten the chocolate the soldier gave it the night before, but now it seemed restless, almost desperate. The soldier's heart sank a little. He had expected hunger, yes, but not this. The creature's golden eyes glowed with a strange intensity. There was something more than hunger in them now, an obsession, a craving that went beyond food. He tried to ignore it as he walked through the ruins, scanning the area for danger. The world had become quiet, almost eerily so. Broken machines of war lay abandoned, their metal shells twisted by explosions. Smoke curled in the distance, and the wind carried the faint smell of ash and scorched earth. But all he could focus on was the small creature following him so closely that it occasionally brushed against his boots. When he stopped to rest, the dragon climbed onto a low piece of rubble, looking at him expectantly. Its eyes followed his every movement, and its tail flicked nervously. The soldier knew what it wanted. Chocolate, and probably more than just a little. He opened the remaining piece of chocolate and broke off a small piece. As he held it out, the dragon's pupils dilated. It leaned forward, sniffing the sweet scent, then snatched it with surprising speed. Its tiny claws scraped the ground, leaving marks in the dust, and it devoured the chocolate as if it had been starving for days. The soldier watched, a mix of awe and concern running through him. "This is more than hunger," he muttered under his breath. "It's like it's addicted." The little dragon looked up at him with shining eyes, almost demanding more. It stepped closer, brushing its head against his leg, and let out a soft trill. The sound was strange, almost musical, but it carried a clear message. "I want more. Give me more." The soldier hesitated. He knew that feeding it was dangerous. Dragons were unpredictable. Even young ones could become aggressive if provoked. And yet he could not refuse. He had seen too much death, too much pain, and the sight of this tiny, helpless creature craving food stirred something deep within him. Over the next few days, he tried to ration the chocolate carefully. He broke it into tiny pieces, offering only a little at a time. But the dragon's reaction grew more intense each day. Its eyes glowed brighter, its movements sharper, and its small body trembled with anticipation whenever he approached. It was no longer just a small animal following him. It had become obsessed. One evening, the soldier sat against a broken wall, exhausted from walking through the ruins. The dragon curled up near his feet, its head resting on his boot. He could feel its small, warm body shivering with hunger and longing. "I can't keep doing this," he whispered. "You'll ruin yourself. Maybe even me." The dragon tilted its head as if it understood, then let out a soft, persistent trill. Its golden eyes shone with intensity. The soldier sighed and broke off another piece of chocolate, offering it to the creature. It snatched it immediately, then pressed its head against his hand, purring, or something like purring. The sound was soft but insistent, and the soldier felt a shiver run down his spine. This tiny creature, so weak and small, had already found a way to control him without words, without force. Over time, the bond grew stronger. Wherever the soldier went, the dragon followed. It would crawl beside him during patrols, perch on rubble while he rested, and even try to mimic some of his movements. Its obsession with chocolate became more obvious. It would watch his hands constantly, sniff the air, and sometimes make soft noises that sounded almost like whines of frustration when there was no food. The soldier realized with a mix of amazement and fear that the dragon's behavior was changing him too. He had become careful, protective, almost obsessive himself. He hid his remaining rations, planned his steps around the creature's needs, and even risked his own safety to make sure it stayed fed. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the clouds, he saw something that made his heart skip a beat. The dragon had grown slightly stronger, more agile. It leapt from one piece of rubble to another, wings twitching, tail balancing it perfectly. Its scales had begun to shine faintly in the dim light, and its eyes glowed brighter than before. The soldier knew he was in trouble. He had not just fed a hungry creature. He had created something dangerous. A bond had formed between them, a bond that was as powerful as it was uncontrollable. And yet he could not stop. The dragon's addiction to chocolate grew. It became demanding. It would follow him anywhere, climb onto his shoulders, nuzzle him constantly, and cry softly when he moved away. The soldier tried to train it, to make it behave, but the obsession was stronger than any command. He began to notice small changes in the dragon's behavior. It became smarter, more aware, and even playful at times. It would mimic sounds, tilt its head in curiosity, and watch him with a keen understanding. But along with the intelligence came something darker. His craving became sharper, more urgent, almost desperate. One night, as they camped near a broken building, he heard a strange sound above. The wind carried the beat of enormous wings. The soldier froze. His heart pounded. The dragon stirred, its small body pressing against him. Its pupils dilated, and it made a low trill, warning him of danger. He looked up into the dark sky and saw shadows moving. Dragons. Adult dragons. Massive, powerful, terrifying. The little dragon pressed closer, trembling, but did not run. It stayed with him. Its eyes looked up at him with trust, fear, and something almost pleading. The soldier realized with a sinking feeling that he was now part of something much bigger than he had imagined. He had created a bond that might protect them or destroy them. The battlefield had grown quiet again, but the soldier could feel the tension lingering in the air. The little dragon had been at his side for days now, following his every step, its golden eyes always fixed on him. It was no longer just a companion, it was an obsession. Wherever he went, it went, and the soldier could no longer ignore the strange bond forming between them. At first, he had thought it was just hunger driving the dragon. But now he knew it was something more. The creature had begun to watch him constantly, tracking his movements and demanding attention at odd hours. Sometimes it would climb onto his shoulders while he was walking, pressing its small body against him as if claiming him as its own. The soldier sighed, rubbing his temples. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered, though the dragon's bright eyes watched him like it understood every word. It was exhausting to care for the hatchling. He had no idea how to properly feed it or keep it safe. Chocolate alone could not be enough, yet it refused anything else. Every time he tried to give it some bread or dried meat, it would sniff disdainfully, turn away, and whine softly until he offered chocolate instead. The soldier realized he had become trapped, not by chains or walls but by this tiny, insistent creature. Its dependency was growing, and with it, his own obsession to care for it. Other soldiers began to notice. First they laughed. A human soldier with a baby dragon perched on his shoulder, following him like a lost puppy? It seemed ridiculous. But the laughter faded quickly when they saw the changes in the little creature. The hatchling was stronger now. Its claws were sharper, its movements quicker, and its intelligence more apparent. Sometimes it would mimic small gestures the soldier made, like pointing or crouching, almost as if it understood commands. The soldier tried to warn himself. This is dangerous. He remembered the stories of dragons tearing apart villages and killing soldiers without hesitation. Yet this small creature, once weak and trembling, now seemed like it had the potential to become just as formidable. One evening, the soldier sat on a broken wall, watching the sunset streak the sky with shades of red and gold. The dragon curled up at his feet, occasionally nudging him with its snout, making soft, trilling noises. He sighed. "I don't even know who you really are," he whispered, "or what you'll become." The little dragon blinked, golden eyes shining with a strange intelligence. It pressed its head against his boot, refusing to leave. Suddenly, a distant roar shattered the calm. The soldier froze. The dragon twitched violently, its small body trembling with fear and alertness. Shadows moved in the distance, massive shapes flying against the darkening sky. Adult dragons. The soldier's stomach clenched. The hatchling looked up at him, almost pleading. Its wings twitched, and its tail lashed the ground. It was clearly terrified, yet it refused to leave him. The soldier realized the truth of the bond they had formed. The dragon wasn't just following him out of hunger. It was attached, deeply attached, and that attachment was dangerous. He had unknowingly created a companion that depended on him for everything. Food, safety, and perhaps even trust. And that bond was growing stronger with every passing day. The soldier looked around nervously. If the adult dragons found the hatchling alone, it would be torn from him or worse. But the hatchling stayed, clinging to him with unspoken loyalty. For the next few days, the bond deepened. The soldier began to notice little things. The way the hatchling would anticipate his movements, the way it would make soft warning noises when danger approached, and the way it would nuzzle him when he seemed distracted or tired. At night, it would curl up beside him, small body pressed close, and he could feel its steady breathing. It was comforting, yes, but also suffocating. He could not move without it noticing. He could not rest without it clinging to him. Sometimes he wondered if he had made a mistake. Maybe feeding it chocolate was the wrong choice. Maybe he had awakened something he could never control. And yet he could not turn back. The little dragon had become a part of him, and he a part of it. One afternoon, while scavenging through the ruins for supplies, he noticed the dragon watching a group of soldiers from afar. His tail flicked nervously, and it made soft warning trills. The soldier understood immediately. It was protecting him even from other humans. He frowned. "You're protective now too?" he asked softly, though the dragon did not answer in words. Its golden eyes glowed with intensity. The soldier realized the truth. The hatchling had changed. The chocolate had not just fed it. It had made it dependent, attentive, and intelligent in ways that were almost frightening. The more he gave it, the stronger its attachment became. And the stronger the attachment, the more dangerous it might become if separated or if threatened. At night, the hatchling would not leave his side. During the day, it shadowed his every step. It had become a constant presence, impossible to ignore. And as the soldier walked through the ruins, He felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. He was not just caring for a creature. He had created a bond that was irreversible. And deep inside, he knew that one day it might demand more than he could give, or take more than he was willing to lose. The sun set again, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold. The soldier sat on the rubble, the hatchling curled up at his feet, and he whispered into the fading light, "I don't know what's coming next, but we'll face it together." And as the shadows of the ruins stretched long across the ground, the bond between man and dragon had grown unbreakable. Stronger than fear, stronger than hunger, and stronger than the quiet war raging all around them. The ruins were quiet that evening, but the soldier felt a tension in the air that made his skin prickle. He had grown used to the little dragon's presence over the past days, but something told him that tonight would be different. The hatchling perched on a broken wall near him, restless and alert. Its golden eyes scanned the sky constantly, and its small body trembled with unease. The soldier had seen that look before, fear but also recognition. It was a look that said danger was coming. He glanced upward. The sky was darkening, heavy clouds swirling with the last light of the sun. Then he saw them, massive silhouettes moving against the dim sky. Dragons. Adult dragons. His heart skipped a beat. The adult dragons were larger than anything he had imagined. Wings spanning like shadows across the ruined landscape, tails lashing, eyes glowing faintly in the distance. They circled above, silent predators in the fading light. The hatchling froze. Its body pressed against the soldier, and it made a low, urgent trill. Its golden eyes were wide with fear, but it refused to flee. It had chosen him, and it would not abandon him, even in the face of its own family. The soldier's mind raced. The parents have found it. What do I do? He knew the legends. Adult dragons were deadly, intelligent, and merciless to anyone who threatened their young. And yet, the hatchling stayed close, almost daring them to approach. As the shadows drew closer, the hatchling hissed softly, a sound of warning and challenge combined. The soldier could feel the tension building, like a storm about to break. He reached slowly for the last piece of chocolate in his pack. It was not enough to feed a dragon, adult or baby, but perhaps it could serve as a distraction. He held it out, trembling slightly. The hatchling's eyes locked on it instantly, pupils dilated with desperation and hope. It chirped softly, nudging his hand, urging him to act. The adult dragons descended slowly, landing with earth-shaking force on the broken ground. Their scales glinted in the dim light, their claws gouging the earth as they moved closer. The soldier froze, unsure whether to stay or flee. One misstep could mean death. The hatchling hissed again, stepping protectively in front of him. Its small body seemed insignificant compared to the towering dragons, but its courage was undeniable. It did not run. It did not hide. It stood its ground, golden eyes blazing. The soldier's heart raced. He had created this bond. He had fed the hatchling chocolate, nurtured it, and unknowingly awakened something powerful. But now the consequences were clear. He was facing not just one dragon, but the wrath of a family. The largest of the adult dragons stepped forward, its eyes fixed on the hatchling. Its nostrils flared, and smoke curled from its mouth. It let out a low, rumbling growl that shook the ruins. The hatchling responded with a trill, loud and defiant, holding its ground. The soldier held his breath. He had no weapons capable of fighting these creatures. One wrong move and both he and the hatchling could be killed instantly. Then something unexpected happened. The hatchling nudged his hand toward the chocolate. It chirped, almost urgently, as if telling him to offer it. With a trembling hand, the soldier broke the chocolate into the smallest pieces he could manage and tossed one toward the largest adult dragon. The dragon sniffed it, and for a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. The giant beast paused, its glowing eyes fixed on the chocolate. Slowly, it lowered its massive head and sniffed the sweet scent. The hatchling chirped excitedly, nudging its parent, urging it to taste. And then, the adult dragon did something the soldier never expected. It took the chocolate gently with its claw, sniffed it again, and then, without aggression, ate it. The tension in the air eased slightly, though the soldier did not dare relax completely. The adult dragons were still powerful, still dangerous, but something had changed. The chocolate had created a bridge between human and dragon, between soldier and creatures that had been enemies for centuries. The hatchling chirped happily, nudging the soldier's leg, and for the first time, he felt a strange sense of relief. The adult dragons did not attack. Instead, they lowered their heads slightly, almost acknowledging him. But the soldier knew the relief was temporary. The hatchling's obsession with chocolate had saved him tonight, but it had also awakened a hunger that could not be ignored. The dragons might not forgive easily if their child was threatened again, or if the chocolate ran out. The soldier knelt down, placing a hand gently on the hatchling's head. "You've saved us, for now," he whispered. The hatchling chirped in response, curling close to him. The adult dragons watched silently, wings folding, eyes alert. The bond between human and dragon had shifted something in the world around them. For the first time, a human had shared chocolate with a dragon hatchling, and lived to see the consequences. As night fell fully, the soldier realized the truth. He had created a bond stronger than fear, stronger than hunger, and stronger than loyalty to his own kind. The little dragon had become addicted, not just to chocolate, but to him, and he had become bound to it as well. He had saved a life, but in doing so, he had stepped into a world where consequences were far greater than he could imagine. The hatchling would follow him anywhere, demand more, and test every limit of his patience and courage. And somewhere in the shadows, the adult dragons waited, watching, judging, ready to act if anything went wrong. The soldier could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. One mistake now could cost him his life or worse, the life of the tiny dragon that had trusted him completely. He clenched his fists, determination mixing with fear. "We'll survive this together," he whispered, glancing at the hatchling. Its small eyes sparkled in the darkness, and its tiny body pressed close to him, unafraid. For the first time, he understood something important. This bond was not just about survival. It was about trust, loyalty, and the unpredictable consequences of a single act of kindness. And the consequences had only just begun. The night was silent now, except for the soft rustling of broken metal and the low, steady breathing of the little dragon at the soldier's feet. The adult dragons had settled nearby, wings folded, eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. The tension in the air was still thick, but it had changed. It was no longer purely fear. It was curiosity, observation, and caution. The soldier's mind raced. He had survived the encounter, yes, but only because of the chocolate. And yet, he knew it was only a temporary solution. The hatchling's obsession was growing, and so was his bond to it. One day, that obsession might lead to disaster or something incredible. He looked down at the little dragon. Its golden eyes met his, full of trust and something else, an understanding that seemed far beyond its size and age. He reached out and gently stroked its head. The creature purred softly, a sound that was part contentment, part reassurance. "You've changed everything," he whispered, "and we both know it." The largest adult dragon shifted slightly, its gaze never leaving him. It lowered its head, sniffing the air around the chocolate wrapper that had fallen earlier. The soldier held his breath. The moment could go either way. One wrong move and the situation could explode into violence. The hatchling chirped and nudged his hand toward the wrapper. It wanted more, but it also wanted him to act carefully. It was almost as if it was guiding him, teaching him how to survive among these creatures. The soldier tore a tiny piece of the chocolate and held it out carefully. The hatchling stepped forward, snatching it with precision, then immediately nudged the wrapper toward the largest adult dragon. For a moment, everything was frozen. The adult dragon sniffed the chocolate, then blinked slowly. Its massive jaws opened slightly, and it carefully picked up the piece with its claw, smelled, inspected, and finally, ate it. The hatchling chirped excitedly, and the soldier felt a mix of relief and amazement. The adult dragons did not attack. Instead, they seemed to understand. They lowered their heads slightly, as if acknowledging the soldier's courage and the unique bond he had formed with their child. It was a quiet moment, but its significance was enormous. The chocolate had done more than satisfy hunger. It had bridged the gap between human and dragon, between predator and protector. The hatchling had shown loyalty, trust, and cleverness. And the adult dragons, they had recognized it. The soldier could hardly believe it. He had fed a dragon chocolate. He had touched the impossible. And it had worked. Yet he also understood the danger. The hatchling was no longer just a baby. His body was growing stronger, more agile. His mind was sharper. And its obsession with him and the chocolate had created a bond that could not be broken. If the chocolate ran out, or if he failed in some way, the consequences could be catastrophic. But for now, the bond was a shield, a fragile but real connection that had saved all their lives. The little dragon curled up against his leg, purring softly, while the adult dragons watched silently. The soldier reached down and stroked the hatchling again, whispering, "We're in this together, little one, no matter what comes next." The night stretched on. The air was filled with the soft sounds of breathing, human and dragon alike. For the first time since the battle, the soldier felt a strange peace. The chocolate had not just fed a dragon. It had created trust, loyalty, a bridge across species that had never been crossed before. And yet, he could not shake the thought that this was only the beginning. The hatchling would grow. His craving would grow. The bond between them would strengthen, and the world around them might never be the same. He looked at the adult dragons one last time. Their eyes were fixed on him, cautious but calm. The largest lowered its head slowly, almost in approval, then nudged the hatchling gently. The tiny dragon chirped happily, nudging the soldier again, reminding him of its dependence and loyalty. A small smile touched his lips. Against all odds, against all rules and danger, he had created something extraordinary, a bond that could not be broken between a human and a dragon. The soldier knew the world might never understand what he had done. Other humans might call it foolish. The dragon families might never forgive the intrusion. And yet, in this quiet, ruined battlefield, with a small dragon at his side and the adult dragons watching, he felt a strange certainty. Somehow they would survive. Somehow they would face whatever came next, together. And the chocolate, that simple act of sharing, had changed everything. It had started as a small gesture of kindness, a piece of sweetness offered to a starving creature. But now, it had become a symbol of trust, courage, and connection. A single bar of chocolate had bridged centuries of conflict, fear, and misunderstanding. The hatchling nuzzled his hand once more, golden eyes sparkling in the moonlight. The soldier knew that no matter what happened, this bond would remain unbroken. He had saved a life, yes, but in doing so, he had also discovered a friendship stronger than fear, fiercer than hunger, and more enduring than any war he had ever fought. The adult dragons shifted, wings folding neatly against their bodies. The night was quiet again, but the soldier knew that their presence was not just observation. It was protection, a silent acknowledgement of the bond he had created. And for the first time, he realized something remarkable. The hatchling's addiction, the tiny dragon's dependence, had not been a curse. It had been the key, the bridge that connected them all. He smiled softly, a rare, genuine smile, as he looked down at the little dragon. "We've started something incredible," he whispered. "Something that might change everything." The hatchling chirped, a happy, triumphant sound, as if it agreed. And as the stars twinkled above the ruined battlefield, the soldier understood the truth. The consequences had been unexpected, yes, but sometimes the unexpected could be extraordinary. The bond between human and dragon, forged with nothing more than chocolate and trust, was unbreakable, and it would shape the days to come in ways no one could predict. For now, in the quiet of the night, they were safe, together, united, and the adventure had only just begun.